Hi everyone, hope you're having a good evening slash morning slash afternoon wherever you are. Today's session is going to be about being undecided and switching majors at Penn Engineering, but it can also be about anything else if you guys have other questions, so feel free to stay on even if you may not be switching your major, being undecided or exploring things because it's still useful information. I have a set of slides I'm going to go through, and I hope it'll be fairly quick. And then after that, we'll have questions and answers where you can ask about anything. Screen should be shared. Yeah. So what we're going to go over today is first, I'll just talk a little bit of myself and my experience and what gave me the motivation to give you guys this presentation. And then we'll go over just a gist of what the engineering majors are at Penn. Sometimes, a lot of times when we're entering Penn Engineering or any kind of university or college, we may not know what the other options are. We may just come in for a specific major, specific study, but it's a good idea to get some general exposure of what they are. And then I'll talk about some resources that can help you decide your major if you're undecided, if you're already have a major, to better explore it and better understand it and see if it's a better fit for you, or if you're changing your major to explore about this new major that you're interested in. And then we'll talk about a few strategies that can be useful for you to decide, then a word of advice that I have, and then we can go through some questions and answers. Something in the chat. Yeah, the recording will be available. So just a brief story. I underlined all the different careers that I went through or passions that I went through for a specific reason to tell you that undecided doesn't necessarily mean you don't know what you want to do. It means that it can also mean that you have too many things that you want to do. And for me, the latter was the case. So I am Vaishnavi. I'm from the 2024 class. I started at Penn undecided, but I wrote about a lot of things that happened before Penn. And now I'm currently a digital media design and award and dual degree. When I was a kid, I wanted to be like an inventor, the kind of inventors we all heard about, Benjamin Franklin, the one who started this institution, Einstein, Thomas Edison. Those were the kinds of people that I was looking up to and wanted to be, despite them, being alive 300 years ago and not now. I switched around at least 10 different career passions, and you can see the range went from scientist to like cartoon maker until high school. Then I started high school with a strong architecture interest. I really wanted to be an architect, but I quickly realized that wasn't for me because I wanted a more fast-paced working environment, whereas architecture had a lot longer term projects like for 5 or 10 years. And then I switched around between like environmental engineering, electronic engineering, through marketing and business, physics, physicists. There's a long other list of things I explored in high school. And then I came to Penn as curriculum deferred, which is the term that they use in engineering for undecided. And I was thinking of 5 different options for majors. So I was considering electrical engineering, systems engineering, mechanical engineering, computer science, and digital media design. And I really went through with trying to explore all the different resources at Penn to come to a decision. Um, I talked to students, I met with academic advisors, I took courses, I researched online, and I thought computer science was a good fit. But then it came spring sem, and I had like 2 computer science courses. I didn't really like them a lot, so I was just looking for another class where I could use my time a bit better. And I found an animation class that had one seat open. I enrolled, and I fell in love with it instantly. And then I transferred to digital media design. And I also had this interest in business side, which I wanted to pursue. So I also applied for the dual degree. Now, just an idea of some of the courses I took. So I listed out the courses that I took in freshman fall and freshman spring in case this becomes useful to you. I went for 5 course unit course load in my fall semester, and then in spring semester I went for 5.5. I took an introduction to electrical and systems engineering. I took an intro course to computer science, and then I took math, econ, writing seminar, like some general requirements. And then in spring semester, I took the computer animation class and the computer science classes. Digital media design is a combination of art and computer science, so I took both the requirements in a deeper level to see if I was interested, and by luck I was. And now some information that will help you. I wanted to host this session because last year I was very undecided.
Well, that's kind of seminar, so it's okay.
I talked to a lot of different
Yeah,
students at Penn, and no one seemed to provide this kind of information that I'm providing you. I did talk to some great people though, so I thought it would be a better idea just to have a very focused session on this, because even if you think it might not be relevant to you now, maybe a few months down the line you want to change your major, it may be useful then. So just some data to put things in perspective. 20% of Penn engineers apply to Penn as undecided, which is quite a large chunk, because the engineering class is huge. It's not 100 people, it's like 500 at least. So that would mean at least 100 students are undecided or came into Penn as undecided. And 80% of college students overall, they change their major at least once over their college curriculum, which is also a huge chunk. So it's nothing to be worried about if you are undecided right now. Now, just a brief introduction to the different engineering majors. So there's bioengineering, which is using biology and engineering to enhance biological systems and makes this biological technologies work. And I also linked all these sample curriculums. I'll share these slides after the presentation so you can read through them and go to the sample curriculum to look at the different kinds of courses, if that will help you better, which I strongly recommend to look at. There's CBE, which is chemical and biomolecular engineering. It often gets mistaken as similar to bioengineering, but it really is its own major, if not department. It's all about harnessing energy to make products, and which use both chemistry and physics and also biology and biomolecular studies. And then there's computer and information science, probably one of the most popular ones at Penn Engineering. And it's about studying computing, computer software, hardware, algorithms, and processes. You can see there are a lot of different specializations in computer science, which digital media design was one of them. NETS is network and social systems engineering. It's focused on computer networks and social media like Facebook or Twitter, but also the internet and any kind of computer network from large to small. There's computer science and cognitive science as an integrated major. There's also computational biology, and there's computer engineering, which computer engineering combines computer science and electrical engineering. Then there's electrical and systems engineering, which is all about connecting the information world with the material or the physical world. And that concept itself is called the IoT, or the Internet of Things, which is only a small subsection of electrical engineering. There's a wide possibility you can do with that. And it's about using devices and systems to harness that connection. Electrical and systems engineering are both separate majors, but they're under the same department because this larger idea of IoT is central to both of them. Material science and engineering is about creating the most effective and efficient materials. It even goes into things like nanotechnology and crystals, which may be something you may not think is part of material science, but it is. There's mechanical engineering and applied mechanics, which is about using physics and math to design products and mechanical systems. A lot of product design also is integral to mechanical engineering, using 3D printers and SolidWorks. So those are the main departments. And now I wanted to talk about some of the resources that may help you explore your current major and explore majors of interest or explore majors that you want to change to. So a good resource is to take intro-level courses. They really give you a deep dive into not only the subjects, but what you do outside of that subject. So what you do in the real world, maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. Looking at department websites, they have a lot of key information like research projects, what past students have done, some stories of what past students have experienced in their major, why they chose it, and those things may also be helpful alongside the academic part of it. Talking to academic advisors and undergraduate chairs, I can't stress this enough. They're very knowledgeable people. They deal with students every year, every semester, talking about changes in their major, wanting to know what their major is really about. And they're very helpful people. They're also very accessible. All you have to do is make the first step of sending the email. There are also professional resources that Penn has to connect with alumni and talk to various people in the industry about their work and what they do in their sort of major. Handshake is a Penn resource. It helps you connect with career fairs as well, which can help you get internships and future jobs. Career services, alongside preparing like resumes and application materials, they also have a whole section on figuring out your major. So they have a bunch of career quizzes, personality quizzes. They have career specialists that you can talk to about your interests and they can help you find the right major. And there's also QuakerNet, which is relatively new, but it's a database of Penn alumni and you can directly contact them within the database. You don't have to go to an external source, which saves a lot of time. There are part-time opportunities. You can use your on-campus job as a way to explore a field. Actually, one of the key things for me to decide DMD was my on-campus job in the fall semester. I was a graphic designer for the community service center, the Netter Center, and that even though graphic design is not nearly what DMD really is, it was a good introduction and helped me explore it better. You can be a research assistant. Uh, Research assistants may not be easy in your first semester, but you can definitely try it in your first or semester or even your second semester, and it can be a way to help you decide. And internships and clubs. Internships may not be what you want to do immediately, but they certainly do help if you can get one. And also clubs, which is the version of internships you could say within the semester, which you can easily take on and learn more about. But one of the best resources down here is actually talking to students. That's one of the most helpful things you can do. Students have a lot more knowledge than you think they would. They're going through a similar journey. They've gone through the process of trying to decide a major and why they chose their major, and maybe just their ideas and their thoughts could be something of use. Now, after taking in all of this information that you may get from other people, it's only one step of the way because you have all this information, you have to figure out how to act on it. You may know that computer science is one of the most popular majors. It doesn't mean you're necessarily the right person for computer science or if computer science is the right major for you. So it's important to take in some strategies to really suck in that information and decide whether that's worth what it is. So one of the things that helped me and that helps a lot of people decide their majors is the elimination method. A lot of times when you're trying to make a decision, you try to add different options instead of considering everything that you have and then narrowing down, because it's a lot easier to narrow down than it is to add or make a single choice. So you could have a list of maybe 15 majors that you're thinking of and then narrow down to 10, narrow down to 5, and narrow down to 2, and then eventually get down to your one major. It helps a lot, and because there are a lot of different factors that go into being a major, having a major, and if something doesn't work right or something doesn't fit, you can cross that off your list. Look beyond the courses. So the courses, any college degree, it's a base of knowledge, but knowledge is not necessarily what you're going to be doing in 5 or 10 years from now. Like what the industry is like may not be what your courses are like. It may be completely different. So you may love your course, but you may not love what you're doing after that course. And what is the purpose of having a major if it doesn't prepare you to something that you like? So it is a really hard balance to strike. You want to learn something that you're interested in, but you also want your interest to support you to do something that you're interested in after college. So you can use resources beyond Penn, go through YouTube, go through LinkedIn, learn what the day in the life of so and so major is, and or go read through some blogs, and maybe that will help you from a personal standpoint to understand what a person in this major is really doing. The next step is to really immerse yourself into this kind of major that you're exploring. Uh, you really want to experience what it's like to be this kind of major, both inside and outside of the classroom. And what do I mean by that? So if you want to be, let's say, a mechanical engineer and you like your mechanical engineering classes, that's great. But have you tried any kind of project outside of the class, or have you tried some clubs? Have you just read some information online to know what a mechanical engineer does in the future? Those are some kind of things you want to look at too. So you really want to be a part of this major, because when you explore more about it, you may find reasons that you love it or reasons that you hate it. And both of those will help you make a decision. And the last tip that I have is to introspect. While you're on this quest to find this major, you need to make sure that you're being true to yourself first. So what kind of factors are important for you in your life or your career? Do you want to have a lot of time? When do you want to wake up in the day? When do you want your work day to start? When do you want it to end? What kind of skills do you want to be relying on in your career? Do you have good people skills, or do you want to have a lot of imagination and creative opportunity? Do you want to work on really technical projects? What kind of things do you want to do? And it's not guaranteed that you'll find a career that checks all those boxes, but you may find something that checks most of them. And maybe that is what could be your major. But a word of advice would be that you're not limited to what you major in. You can, of course, that could be meant in the literal sense that you can have a double major, you could have minors, you could have a master's, you could do a whole lot of other things at Penn. There's so many possibilities, but it also is that what you learn is more important than what's on your degree. So if you take the opportunity to learn things that you're interested in, you're adding tools to your toolkit. And what you do with those tools will be something of a question once you graduate from college. But when you have more tools or a lot more knowledge, that may be more helpful than restricting yourself to a specific major. But it's always a good stepping stone, of course, to have a major so you can gain this knowledge, or have kind of stepping stone to gain more knowledge. And that's all that I have in this presentation. And now the floor is open for questions. So you can ask anything, whether it's related to this or something else like advanced registration or life at Penn or other things like
My question would be, so you said that you were, along with your DMD major, you're also a Wharton double major. Why did you decide to do that option? And what do you think are the pros and cons of that decision? What do you think are the pros and cons of that decision for you specifically?
that. That's a good question. Yeah, I've been interested in business entrepreneurship for a few years now, and I thought that I could learn that on the side or do that on the side. But then I saw the Wharton curriculum and I thought, this is very interesting. I wonder if I can do them both at the same time, which turns out there is a way to do that. And so I thought maybe it's worth trying to apply to it. So because the Penn Engineering also has an engineering entrepreneurship minor, but that is entrepreneurship in the focus of engineering. So you work with engineers, but I wanted to be in an environment where I could gain the business knowledge that I could outside of an engineering standpoint. I was actually running a ed tech startup in high school, and I really liked that experience. I enjoyed the experience, not only from making the technology, but working with people, doing the marketing, thinking of the business plan. So that made me realize that on engineering entrepreneurship or simply taking classes wasn't what I could really enjoy and what I could really learn, or the limit to my knowledge. So I thought of applying. I applied at the end of my freshman year, just a few months ago, and I think I'm getting a few more questions about this, so maybe it'll be a good idea to talk about it. Yes, you have to apply for the dual degree program. Um, that's the only exception really. So because the dual degree is outside of engineering, you would have to apply. When you're switching an engineering major or when you're deciding an engineering major, you typically don't have to apply. The only exceptions are digital media design and nets. These are the only two majors that you actually have to apply to. The others, you can just sign a form and you can become a part of the major. I hope that answers your question. I have another question. Double majoring with engineering and business seems incredible. What kind of career do you want to go into with that kind of education? At this time, I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll answer this question first before I get to you, Derek. At this time, I'm not sure if there's a career that can do both engineering and business at the same time. I have this different philosophy about majors, which is why I also wanted to give this presentation. I don't believe like a single major defines what you do in your career, which is I'm more on the board of gaining knowledge in whatever I'm interested in and then seeing what I can do with it, whether that be having a career that's already set out or making my own. I when I made the decision to apply to have be to do have a dual degree or be a part of both, it was with the idea that I wanted to have a startup someday, and I wanted to be both the technical and the business mind behind the startup that I have, because I feel there's a lot of businesses right now have that kind of disconnect. The person making the technology is not in contact with the person who's doing the business behind it. And I feel like that's a major problem these days. So I really wanted to have the understanding of both. Derek, yeah, you can ask your question.
So I kind of had two. Oh,
Sure.
can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can hear you. You can ask both.
Okay, so the first thing is like, uh, how would you advise us to like, I guess like get research opportunities, um, like especially like earlier in like just college, especially if you only intend to like get a minor in that, and so I guess just if you could talk about like minoring and also like doing research. And then another thing is I was kind of curious, like if you know about any like um, sustainability opportunities at Penn, specifically like doing things like that get involved in industry and stuff like that.
Sure, definitely. So to answer your first question, I think so. There's a really good resource called the Center for Undergraduate Research and Faculty. It's called CURF. I can send the link in the chat. But that is a good directory to it's very helpful for freshmen and sophomores who may not have as much experience or may not be majoring in the field that they want to research in to get opportunities. A lot of times you don't really need any experience. What that resource does is that it provides you a database of faculty members who are looking for student researchers to help them. And they've specified the experience level and what they're looking for. But even if they say like highly experienced, it's not a problem to contact them. They definitely don't expect you to have previous research experience, but of course, if you do, that's always helpful. They want to look for any kind of interest that you have in the field, and whether that may be through professional experience or through courses you took or through projects you pursued, or just through your own personal story, that is definitely a good way to get into that. I would say that they care a lot about the Penn courses that you take or the Penn experiences that you've had compared to like your high school experiences. So which may be why it's difficult to get a research assistant job in your first semester, but it's always worth trying for if that's what you're interested in. And then for sustainability, uh, I would say that there are a lot of sustainability clubs which work with the faculty at Penn, which may be helpful for you if you want to go deeper into the industry or if you want to learn more about sustainability research. There's an umbrella organization for the sustainability clubs. I think it's called SAP with two S's. You can find it on Penn clubs as well. So they are like the host of 11 different sustainability clubs, and they work as the liaison between the university and these clubs. So that can help you with contact with professors and also with fellow students. You can start sustainability initiatives. And then in terms of the industry, Handshake would be a great resource for you to use if you're looking for sustainability opportunities. A lot of different energy companies are on Handshake. You can always contact like the firms that are on there and ask about if they had any opportunities available for you with your given experience level, and then they can help you out from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Another question that I had was that you mentioned that academic advisors and Penn advisors and faculty can be really useful sources of information. Uh, what are the sorts of things that they're knowledgeable about, the things that you can ask them about? Just curious as to how they can really help you the best.
Yeah. So when you're going for your advising meeting, or since you guys haven't had academic advisors yet, once you get them assigned, definitely schedule a meeting, even if you don't have anything specific to talk about. It's always good to go in with questions than to just meet and talk. They kind of expect you actually to come with questions so they can be of better use. Things you can talk about. So you can talk about what courses you should take to get into to explore a specific major. You can ask about different opportunities to um, do research, let's say if you're interested in that, or get an internship, or join a competition or a hackathon. They're really knowledgeable. They know those kind of resources or those kind of experiences and what past students have done, so they can direct you to really specific resources. A good tip is to make sure that you share as much as you can to help them, because they of course they don't know you like you know yourself. And the more you tell them, the more they can help you. Of course, there's always a limit to that, but it's it's good to share what you're talking about in a more personal context, especially because they deal with so many students. So they may have a student who has gone through a similar experience in the past, and then advise them and help them. So they can probably adjust those strategies to be really personalized for you. When I was using academic advisors, my primary questions were like, what is this specific major like in the real world, or who can I talk to really understand what this major is like? Because I didn't really have the faith in the courses. Um, that was just how I experienced the courses. I felt the courses were very like academic based. They weren't really talking about what happens beyond that, which is why I went to the academic advisors to kind of ask those questions. A lot of the times I also asked about if I can pursue a certain minor with major, what kind of what would be the best way to approach that, because I had a lot of minors in mind at the time, which I eventually narrowed down to. So those could be some things you can talk about. I have a question in the chat. How time intensive is double majoring or getting a minor compared to just doing one major? It definitely is more time intensive. You do have more courses to take, but it's all dependent on how you plan your courses. So each major has 40 course units. It has 37 course units as the new curriculum. So say if you take a double major or dual degree, you may have up to around 80 course units, which seems impossible. But if you actually see that where the courses overlap or double count, it actually comes down to around 53 or 54, which is a huge chunk cut. And you can even plan even better to get that down to around 46, which is a lot better because that's only a few courses extra compared to your typical degree, and you get it within the same time. It comes with good course planning as when you talk about a double major, or dual degree. A minor is a lot easier. Some of the popular minors amongst engineers are like math minors. Those are very easy to get because we already have 3 math course requirements. So you only have to take 3 extra math courses. And a lot of physics minors are also popular. Computer science minors are popular because it goes well with the engineering curriculum. But you can also do other minors like art minors, music minors, design minors, data science minors. There are a whole list of minors that you can do. A minor is only 6 courses, so it's a lot more doable. And it can count for like your social science and humanities requirement, or your engineering requirement, or your natural science requirement. So it may even reduce down to 4 or 5 courses instead. My email is on the slide. That can be if you can definitely contact there if you guys have more personalized questions to ask, or if you wanted to talk at some time in the future or not now. And you guys can feel free to ask about anything not related to the topic of this presentation. You may want to ask about like moving in or dorms, or I'm an international student, so if you have any questions about moving to the US if you're international. But otherwise, thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you. This is really helpful. I'm gonna have to leave now, but this is helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.